going to dance?
I haven't been asked.
You've already been asked by 4 different boys.
I haven't been asked by anyone I care to dance with.
Brigham, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Miriam. Miriam, this is Brigham.
Brigham Young.
I came to listen to the violins. The first time I heard a violin, I was 11. I thought I was on the road to hell when I stopped to listen.
You don't dance?
My father was a very strict man.
Come on, Brigham.
I thought you didn't dance.
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints represent a faith practiced by millions, a faith which has also inspired its share of controversy.
I think if you look at Brigham Young's whole life, well, it's a conundrum.
I'm Camrey Bagley-Fox, and together with John Wilson and Professor Daniel Peterson, we work to uncover unexpected twists in the character of a man that we thought we already knew. Dan, you better have a good reason for bringing us out here.
Of course. What a lovely spring morning.
Yeah, it's April. What the heck?
I should have brought my shorts. Well, welcome to beautiful, balmy Mendon, New York.
Oh, my favorite city.
So warm.
It's freezing.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kirtland.
I think we will do that, but not today.
Yeah.
Well, this is the John Young home. This is a place where Brigham eventually came. He was born in Whitingham, Vermont in 1801 to John and Nabby Young. And by the way, at about the age of 16, his mother died and his father told him, you know, you're old enough to go make it on your own.
Really?
Yeah.
That young?
Yeah. So he was out of the house, and by the age of 17, he already served apprenticeships in carpentry and painting and so on.
That's right. Susan Easton Black mentioned that in our interview. Guys, did I tell you that she was the first female religion professor at BYU?
Really?
She's so cool.
Kind
We
of
got a lot
historic.
of good stuff in our interview.
Yeah.
Now let's go somewhere else.
Inside.
Anywhere indoors. I'd love to learn more about Brigham Young's early days. What was his youth like?
I think it was his mother seems to at first to be more religious. Brigham Young appeared to very much listen to his mother, who suffered for years from illness that it was difficult for her to speak. For his family, after his mother dies, his father will remarry, and by the time Brigham's 16, his dad is saying, I'm going to cut you loose. And as time comes and goes, he's in various towns. And in one of those towns in New York, he meets a woman named Miriam Works. And Miriam is 18, he's 23. She's a singer in the choir, and suddenly Brigham Young's a singer in the choir. So the religion kind of thing brought them together, and the singing, they will marry. They will have child 1, child 2, and like his father, Brigham will move. So during their 5 years of marriage, the first 5 years, he's moved 4 times.
Wow.
And each time he's, building a small little house, setting it up, and then trying to be a carpenter, painter, glazer, right?
So at what point in Brigham's religious search did he actually meet Joseph, and what led him to Joseph?
Okay. It begins with a young man named Samuel Smith, who's a brother of Joseph Smith. So we know that the church was organized April 6, 1830. And by the end of April, we know that Samuel Smith has been called as our first missionary. And he doesn't have a companion. He doesn't have a time length of service. And so it's kind of like you served a mission till the Lord told you to come home. For some of us, maybe it would have been the same length as Samuel Smith. Samuel Smith's first mission is 3 days. He's to sell copies of the Book of Mormon for, maybe $3 if he can, $2 if he must. But Samuel Smith now heads out, and he comes to a town named Minden, New York.
So, in April of 1830, a 22-year-old preacher shows up in Minden, New York, and he goes to the Tomlinson Inn looking for a bite to eat. And he was bringing the message of the Restoration. This is really, really early when you think about it. The church is founded in April 6th of 1830. Already, yeah, right off the bat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that preacher that you mentioned, that was Samuel Smith, right? Joseph's
Right.
brother?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
he meets at the Tomlinson Inn is Phineas Young, who is Brigham's brother.
Which to me is really interesting. I don't know what this means, but you've got representatives of the family of the first prophet of the church and a brother of Brigham Young, the second prophet of the church. So really early, a lot of the major pieces for the 19th century history of the church are being moved into position.
That's crazy.
Which is really striking to me. So Phineas himself was a Methodist exhorter, a preacher, traveling preacher. A lot of people did that if they were religiously serious. They'd go out when they didn't have to do chores, harvest, or sowing. They'd be out preaching. But Phineas is interested, but not maybe for the reason that Samuel would have hoped.
Oh, really?
He's heard of the book, and he wants to examine it and point out its errors. He's pretty sure that this thing is going to be an obvious bit of con artistry, and so he's going to show, based on his knowledge of the Bible, that it's false.
So he gets a copy of it.
He does.
Samuel's probably like, yes, finally.
Yeah.
And then what does Phineas think of it?
Phineas studies it pretty intensively, I think, for about a week, and doesn't find the obvious errors that he was expecting to find, and he even begins to suspect, good grief, this thing may be true. And so he gives it to his father, John Young, who of course is also Brigham's father. And so John looks at it, and he has something really interesting to say. He says he thought it was the greatest work and the clearest of error of anything he had ever seen, the Bible not accepted. Eventually a copy finds its way to Brigham himself. And I think you have some quotes from Brigham Young on his reaction to the book.
Right. So this is Brigham. Says I, wait a little while. What is the doctrine of the book and the revelations the Lord has given? Let me apply my heart to them. And after I had done this, I considered it my right to know for myself.
Brigham had built a home on the property of his father, John Young.
Okay.
And it was about a half-mile northeast of where Heber Kimball and his wife were living at the time. And they became inseparable pretty early on. Heber was a potter and a good manual craftsman. So was Brigham Young, an expert woodworker. Right. It's interesting to note that Brigham and Heber are only 13 days different in age. And even closer, Brigham Young's wife and Heber's wife are 6 days apart in age.
Wow.
I'm sure that's not the only factor.
That's you showing up in the ward and being like, hey, we're the same.
Yeah.
Joint birthday parties.
Let's hang out.
But that's really cool that they then got to learn from the missionaries together.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They were so similar. They came into the church together. They served together for the rest of their mortal lives.
Yeah.
I think you have some more quotes.
I do. I have a quote that you gave. So this is Brigham. Brigham said, if all the talent, tact, wisdom, and refinement of the world had been sent to me with the Book of Mormon, and had declared it in the most exalted of earthly eloquence, the truth of it, undertaking to prove it by learning and worldly wisdom, they would have been to me like smoke which arises only to vanish away. But when I saw a man without eloquence, or talents for public speaking, who could only say, I know by the power of the Holy Ghost that the Book of Mormon is true, that Joseph Smith is a prophet of the Lord. The Holy Ghost, proceeding from that individual, illuminated my understanding, and light, glory, and immortality were before me. I was encircled by them, filled with them, and I knew for myself that the testimony of that man was true. It just gives you that sense that what Brigham valued was that straightforwardness, and that lets you know that he was that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't eloquence, elaborate logic, or anything. It was simplicity and honesty that spoke to him.
And, I think that goes a long way toward explaining his reputation widespread of being, blunt, plain-spoken, sometimes a little tough. He valued that kind of plainness and simplicity in himself and in others, and didn't appreciate artifice or artificiality in preaching.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that this focuses on how much that simple testimony affected him right off the bat. But if I'm remembering right, he didn't actually join the church for a while. So even though he valued that, he still, and had that experience, he also really valued making sure, making sure that this was what he believed before he committed.
Yeah, the final quote you sent, Brigham says, "I examined the matter studiously for 2 years before I made up my mind to receive that book. And when he did, he said, I knew it was true, as well as I knew that I could see with my eyes or feel by the touch of my fingers. And had this not been the case, I never would have embraced it.
Yeah.
It would have all been without former comeliness to me." And he kind of reiterates, "I wished time sufficient to prove all things for myself."
Yeah. When he does commit, he's all in.
Yeah.
But he doesn't commit lightly. He's really given it a lot of thought.
And in some ways, it's like that's probably the more common conversion experience that an individual experiences. There are people, like my dad was one of them, who get struck like lightning and knows automatically, instantly, when they're introduced that it's true right off the bat. Like John Young, right? He feels the power. But many others, and probably more common, is the individual who has to work it out.
Yeah.
Gains a testimony slowly over time and gets to that place of solidness. Isn't it Joseph F. Smith who talks about, I never had an experience like that, but God made me over the course of my life to know from every cell, from my toe to the tip of my head.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, that those experiences exist.
Yeah, and that God is more than happy and actually excited when we take it seriously and take the time to know for ourselves. Right? That's your spiritual right. And Brigham felt it. It's like, it is my spiritual right to know for myself, to take this time.
And I think God also knows us so personally that for some people it's going to be more effective to have that lightning strike moment. And for some of us, we may have a stronger testimony of it if we ourselves can put it together piece by piece, line upon line, and build that for ourselves, bit by bit as it comes to us.
It comes for others in different ways. Brigham Young was not a less righteous man or worthy man or spiritual man because his came in the way it came, as opposed to some others who knew immediately, by some apparition that it was true. And so there are all sorts of legitimate roads to a testimony. Brigham's was one of them.
Join us next time.
Brigham was baptized not very far from here in April of 1832. It's almost the same date that we're standing here. It was snowy weather, and so imagine yourself being baptized by immersion outdoors in weather very much like this. I know you're enjoying it right now.